Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Heartbroken upon learning Sasha is his cousin, will Cody buy Serenity and leave Port Charles? General Hospital, GH, spoilers reveal Sasha Corbin, Sophia Matson, doesn't seem too thrilled with her mother, Holly Sutton, Emma Sams, to say the least. When Holly showed up at the Quartermains, Sasha wasn't happy to see her. Holly left Sasha at Inlandview when she was a child, a nod to one life to live. Sasha wants nothing to do with Holly, and Holly is fine with that. But Holly had to warn Sasha that she was dating her first cousin, Cody Bell, Josh Kelly. She informed Sasha that her father is Robert Scorpio, Tristan Rogers. Sasha has been through too much heartache. Not only did she lose her husband, Brando Corbin, Johnny Wachter, when he was killed by Heather Weber, Allie Mills, when she was running around Port Charles on a killing spree, but she and her late husband also had a baby named Liam who died at the hospital. It was clear that from the moment he saved her from the evil Dr. Montague, Darren Tunder at Ferncliff, and her greedy mother-in-law, Gladys Corbin, Bonnie Burroughs, Cody was the first person Sasha felt she could fall in love with after Brando's tragic death. It's a terrible situation, as Cody and Sasha were building something real and lasting. She doesn't want to believe Robert is her father. Sasha recently went to see Robert and asked him to take a DNA test, which he was happy to do. But Robert knows Holly wouldn't lie about something this important. She may be a con artist, but lying about her daughter's bio-dad doesn't seem like her style. Cody hasn't learned this pertinent life-changing information yet, but he will undoubtedly be heartbroken when he does. The young couple were just finding their footing, and Cody's had his share of pain in his life as well. Cody and Sasha appeared to have a bright future ahead of them until Holly darkened her doorstep with this shocking news. Recently, Cody talked to Sasha about wanting to buy his childhood home, Serenity, and fulfill his lifelong dream of turning it into a ranch and an animal sanctuary. Cody is a sweet stand-up guy with a great sense of humor who's been wonderful to Sasha. She desperately wants this stunning revelation to be another one of her mom's cons. We can imagine that once Cody discovers the truth, he'll rethink his decision to turn down Tracy Quartermain's, Jane Elliott, generous offer to buy Serenity for him, and he could decide that perhaps leaving the Quartermain stables may be what's best under the circumstances. We don't want to see Cody leave. He's a great character with storyline potential, but we're not sure he'd want to stick around and see Sasha every day. He may think his moving would be good for her too. Truthfully, the writers blew it by having Sasha and Cody turn out to be related. Sasha and Cody were a couple that were easy to root for, and it's impossible to understand why the writers wanted to break them up. We think it's a shame their relationship ended before it even started. Cody Bell had never been a man to stick around long enough to get too attached. His life had been a whirlwind of unpredictability, a roller coaster of gambling, horse racing, and escaping the shadows of his past. But Port Charles had changed something in him. It had given him roots, relationships, and feelings that were slowly pulling him deeper into a life he never thought he'd have. Yet the weight of the truth about Sasha Gilmore had the potential to shatter all of that. Cody wasn't a man easily caught off guard, but learning that Sasha, the woman he had shared an undeniable connection with, was actually his cousin had struck him like a freight train. It was an uncomfortable truth, one hidden for years, buried under a web of lies and secrecy. The revelation had come when a long-lost Bell family member, seeking to unravel the mysteries of their bloodline, inadvertently exposed the shocking connection between Cody and Sasha. At first, Cody couldn't believe it. His entire relationship with Sasha had been built on mutual pain, shared grief, and an unspoken attraction that neither of them could deny. But knowing now that they shared a bloodline made everything feel wrong. It wasn't just a forbidden romance. It was a tragedy that threatened to tear apart both their lives. Sasha had been through so much already. Her struggles with addiction, the devastating loss of her child, and her efforts to rebuild her life after nearly losing her sanity were still fresh wounds. Cody had become her friend and confidant, and he had been there for her in ways no one else had. But this truth was a bombshell that could destroy all of that, leaving their fragile bond in tatters. For days after the revelation, Cody found himself at odds with his emotions. On one hand, the bond he had developed with Sasha was something he cherished. They had both been outsiders in their own way, drawn to each other by a shared sense of loneliness. On the other hand, how could he continue to be around her knowing that they were family? The thought of staying in Port Charles, where every encounter would remind him of the impossible feelings he had for her, felt unbearable. His restlessness grew with every passing hour, his mind returning to the place that had always brought him a sense of peace, Serenity. Nestled on the outskirts of Port Charles, Serenity was a small ranch, its sprawling fields and quiet atmosphere offering solace to those who sought it. Cody had visited the property more than once, imagining what life would be like if he could slow down, escape the drama, and live a simpler existence. Now that dream seemed more appealing than ever. Word around town had it that Serenity was for sale. The owners were looking to move on, and the property was in need of someone with the right touch. Cody had the skills, having spent years in the world of horse racing and ranching. But more than that, he had the desire for something new, something far away from the complicated emotions swirling around him in Port Charles. Could Serenity be his way out? The idea of buying the ranch and leaving town had become more than just a fleeting thought. It was growing into a real possibility. Cody imagined waking up to the sound of horses, spending his days in the open air, far from the pressures of the Quartermain mansion or the gossip of Kelly's diner. He wouldn't have to worry about bumping into Sasha, and he wouldn't have to wrestle with the heartbreak of knowing that the woman he cared for could never be more than his cousin. But there were complications. For one, Cody had developed ties in Port Charles that were hard to ignore. Brooklyn, with her fiery spirit and unwavering support, had become a close friend. He had forged an unexpected friendship with Dante Falconeri, who had gone from an old rival to a trusted ally. And then there was his tenuous connection to his father, Max Scorpio, a relationship Cody had barely scratched the surface of. Leaving all of that behind would mean abandoning the only real sense of belonging Cody had ever known. Could he walk away from the people who had come to matter to him? Could he truly start over? As the days passed, Cody wrestled with his decision. His heart was torn between the desire to escape and the need to stay. The news about Sasha weighed heavily on him, and he found himself avoiding her, unable to face the complicated emotions she stirred within him. He hadn't told her about what he'd learned yet, and the thought of having that conversation terrified him. In the end, Cody realized that staying in Port Charles would mean confronting his past, his family, and his feelings. It would mean accepting the painful truth about Sasha and trying to navigate the waters of their new, complicated relationship. But leaving, buying Serenity, and disappearing into a quiet life of ranching would mean running from it all. And Cody wasn't sure if he could keep running forever. The decision gnawed at him, pulling him in two directions. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Serenity, peaceful and still, beckoning him with the promise of a new beginning. But then he would wake up and feel the pull of Port Charles, the town that had somehow, against all odds, become a place he could call home. Cody Bell stood at a crossroads, uncertain of what the future held. He knew that whatever choice he made, it would come with its own set of consequences. Could he let go of the complicated ties that bound him to Port Charles, or would he choose the freedom of a life away from it all? The heartache of learning Sasha was his cousin was still fresh, but maybe, just maybe, Cody would find peace. Whether that meant staying and facing the truth, or leaving and finding solace in the quiet embrace of serenity. Only time would tell what his next move would be, but one thing was certain: Cody's life was about to change forever.